everyone, I just want to talk quickly about getting lures out and changing cues. So first thing about getting lures out, and this is really important. So I have no problem with people luring because I lure. At the other night I taught Reggie how to do a bow and I used a lure. Lots of times I pre-shape and lots of times I do capturing, but lots of times I lure. Some things are just easier to teach with a lure. But the key to luring is you have to get the food lure out as soon as possible. So I'll give you an example. The other night, we'll say when I did that video with Reggie, I probably ended up doing three 3-minute training sessions on a bow with a lure. So the next time I come in to work on my bow, what I would do, oh, and I got my end behavior. So with the lure in the video, I got Reggie clearly doing what I wanted with showing the end behavior by the end of my training session. So the next training session I come in, whether it's later in the day or the next day, whenever, what I do is I would do 3 lures with food in my hand. I would lure the behavior 3 times. If he gets it correct 3 times, I would then remove the food out of my hand. They still get rewarded, but I actually use an empty hand to get the behavior. So I lure with food 3 times, they get it right. I use an empty hand, I lure, they get it right. I say yes, treat. The treat comes from the other hand. So I try doing that 3 times in a row with an empty hand, them getting rewarded from my other hand. If I'm successful with that, then I may do one with a lure, like with food in my hand, and then one without it. But then what I do is I start trying to get my actual lure, my physical body cue out. So I've come in, this is my training session. I've done 3 with treats. I've gotten 3 without a treat, but getting rewarded from the other hand. Then what I'm going to do is, so I'm still at the level where I'm reaching completely down to the floor and rewarding him. So now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to go maybe just a little bit off the floor, like by a couple of inches. And if I get a successful, then I try another one, a couple of inches off the floor. And I stay at that criteria for 3 in a row. So here's my rule. If I can meet my criteria that I've set for myself, if we get it correct 3 times in a row, then I can increase my criteria, which would mean take my lure out even a little bit further. So that is when I'm talking about luring and using physical body cues. So let's just say I was doing a spin. So I'm teaching a spin, and my beginning spin is with a very clear lure, just like we teach our spins originally. So very clear lure. And I get 3 successes in a row. So actually, I'm gonna, if I have enough time, I do have enough time, I'm going to show you this with Reggie. So this is how I would get a spin out, because he knows a spin. So this is how I would get the spin out. I go in close to his rib cage, yes, because I know, yes, that he knows this. I've got a treat in my hand. I got 3 successes in a row. This is what I do. No treat, yes, treat comes in from the other hand. No treat, yes, treat comes in from the other hand. No treat, yes, treat comes from the other hand. I got 3 of those in a row. Now what if I go a little less? Yes, no treat, but a little less of a cue. Yes, good boy. 3 of those right in a row. Now I can increase my criteria even more. Yes, good boy. Now he knows this, so of course he's going to get it. Yes, good boy. Treat should be from the other hand. Yes, good boy. So now I got 3 of those in a row. So how about I go, yes, good boy. Yes, nice, good boy. Treat's always coming from the other hand. Good boy, Reggie. So again, he knows that behavior, but that's how I wanted you to see. 3 in a row, increase your criteria, 3 in a row. But here's what happens. If they don't get it right, if they're unsuccessful and I get up to here, oh, how many times am I going to do that? So sorry, you guys. I can't believe I did that again. So I get up to here and they're unsuccessful. No big deal, but I'll tell you what, I go right back to the beginning and I bring myself up very quickly again. So say I got my 3 in a row and I get up to here and all of a sudden I had an unsuccessful, I would go right back down to lure this without a treat. That without a treat, up to here without a treat. Oh, and I didn't get it there. So I just want you to understand that I don't just back up one step, I actually back right up to the beginning, because you're going to get right back up really quickly, but it gives you lots of opportunity to get some reinforcement in after an unsuccessful. So you don't want to have a whole bunch of unsuccessfuls in a row, just because they're still just learning it. It's totally different once they know a behavior, but this is just you getting the lure out. So think of this as a training session, just like anything else. So when you go in, go, okay, today my training session is going to be, I'm going to remove my lure. And your lure is going to begin with is removing the food, so they get rewarded from the other hand, and then gradually removing your verbal cue, because that becomes a lure also. You know, even though there's no food in your hand, you're still luring with your hand movement. So we're going to minimize our hand movements, and then we're going to change over to our verbal cue. And I'll send a blurb on how we would change over to our verbal cue shortly here, either today or tomorrow. Great, thanks.